Good late afternoon to evening, everybody viewing in the UK. It's Dan Walls again from Illumination Wall Art, and I'm back in the studio. I'm going to do another quick live video just to show you what I've been up to for the past couple of days. I'm still working on Sunderland Hospital. I will be for a good few months now. This is the zoo room that I'm working on. There's a few guys outside that I'll show you later. But in this video, I'm wanting just to add a little bit of spray paint to these monkeys here. I'm just going to set the phone up. My phone tripod knacked the other day. I dropped it and it smashed when I was on film in the fish tank car, which is a bit of a ball ache, I will admit. But I'll see what we can set up here. I'll just move things around to make it a little bit easier on everyone to view, and then we'll go from there. Please excuse the state of the place. It's a working studio, so there's stuff everywhere. Acrylic paint and spray paint and markers and pens, pencils, all sorts of crazy stuff all over the bloody place, as always. So let's put this further forward. There we go. Let's have a look at that. Yep, so here we go. As you can see on this canvas here, I have put in these two little chimp looking dudes here. And I've lined them all in straight away, gone over them with marker, hit them again with acrylic paint and some spray paint, just to get the general gist of what we're doing. So the idea is now to start decorating it up around the vines with spray paint. I'm going with loop as always. This is the Fugia, and it's kind of a mid kind of green. It's not as bright as the Seleno, but I quite like it anyway. And I've also cut a very quick sort of stencil, like a leaf. If anyone's ever done stenciling before, you'll know that you have to cut stencil right in the middle of where you're going, so you're going to try and reduce the overspray. So with this, on the vine itself, I'm just placing it on its side, touching the vine at the corner, and just blasting it in very, very quickly, just to make these quick leaves going in. I'm going to put a few over the monkey as well, just so it creates that 3D look, so it's got that kind of idea of depth, like the vine comes over the rest of his body, like that. I'll put a few on this guy as well. I'm also going to cut a few more different shapes out as well, so it's different to what's already here. And also blast over it in different colours, so it's not exactly the same. And we're just going to put a few of them around, not too many, just to give it the idea that we've got leaves coming off the vine there, like this. You see, I'm just going to put a few more here and there. I'm going to grab a darker tone now just to do the underside of the leaf, just to give it a bit of shading. I'll go with, yeah. We've also got a Fugia here, which is a brighter. So we've got a brighter one for the top, the Fugia. Oh no, sorry, that's the Seleno. That's the Fugia. And we're going to go with the darker tone, which is the Sienna. So I'll just switch it over to the Sienna now. And what you want to do is, where you've already put the leaves, put the stencil back over the top, and on the underside you just want to dust lightly. You kind of lightly dust there, so you've got a little bit of a darker tone running to it. Your stencil as well will after a while start to be cacked up with loads of paint. Just give it a clean off, just so it doesn't drip everywhere. And we'll go back to it. So wherever you've got hair off there, wherever you've got this, just dust it underneath, and it'll start to get a little bit of tone going into it like that. So I am going to be cutting around all of this later, so I am going to want to be putting bigger leaves in and all sorts, just to make it a bit less of a pain to cut out. And pop these ones in here like this, over the top, and over there, like that. So it's starting to get somewhere now, it's starting to build a little bit, which is looking really nice. And there as well. So just with a couple of quick sprays, we've started to add quite a bit of depth to it. Some different tones and a bit of depth. So once again, we're going with the brighter tone, going with the Salino. We're going to go again, but instead of doing the bottom, we're just going to bash in the top. Just to give it a slightly lighter tone in the tips of the leaves here. And almost immediately, it makes it a little bit more realistic. Just very, very gentle with your finger pressure on the top of the can. And all you're doing is just dusting it in very, very light like that. And there you go. So, let that dry a second. And what I want to do now is, I'm going to go with a few more flesh tones and a few more browns, just to make the monkeys less of that solid kind of brown and solid sort of peachy kind of colour. Before I add the lines in as well at the end, just to make it a bit more 3D and a little bit less of solid block colour. Give me one moment, guys, I'll just nip and get some more paint. I'm going to go with some flesh tones, I think. Yeah. So, these two here are... I can't even read that one. That's a Brazil, that's a Helmand, I think. These are what I normally use on portraits of people as well. You kind of your classic flesh tones. So I'm going to go with the this one first, the Brazil. It's an old can, I haven't used it in quite a while. That's not too bad. And I'm just going to go and grab a bit of curve card, like I did before on my other ones, just to give it a curve around and go with the curves and the contours of the monkeys anyway, just so I'm not overspraying. And the idea with this is you don't spray it onto the canvas itself, you want to be spraying onto here, because whatever it hits, it bounces back and you get a very kind of distinct soft line. So maybe here on the top of his belly, where the light will be hitting him, you just dust the inside of this very, very lightly to get that soft sort of turn there on his stomach. Same with the cheek here at the top. Put that across. Like that. And it just adds to it. It just gives it that little bit extra skin tone for what we're after. And we're not going crazy, we're not going mad with the amount we're putting in, or with the amount of pressure on the can. We're generally just dusting it in and getting what we want out of it bit by bit. Across the cheeks on this guy as well. Yeah, we're really getting there. And in the belly of this dude as well. So don't worry too much about overspraying it. You will get it. Spray paint is quite volatile. It goes everywhere. But we're always going to be able to go back into this later with brushes and stuff to neaten it up. So we're just adding it bit by bit, tiny bit at a time, and eventually it will start to transform and become something that looks a bit more impressive than just using the block tones. There's a bit of overspray on the heel, but it's easy fixed. So I'll put a bit in here as well, this side. Curve of the foot. And there you go. So I know that these guys are cartoons, but one of the best things you can do with it is look at the world around you, look at realism, look at photography, and look at the way light works, especially with something with loads of contrast. You want to be looking at that, like, just so you can get a real idea of how light and dark behaves, and where the light source comes in, and where something will be darker and where something will be lighter. Just going to do some on the back end of this foot. There's a dodgy line there I want to hide, so there's a bit more on there than what I would normally put in. There you go, see? So that's looking pretty nice. I'm going to switch back to a transparent black, because transparent black will be able to let me put some darker tones in these monkeys, but do it very, very gently. I'm going to put this a little bit higher. Let's pop that in there like this. There you go. It's balanced precariously, the phone, but it should work out a lot better on there. So, transparent black again. We're going. This is the transparent black, which is pretty much like a very soft black, like a watered down blacker version. So it's sort of like shading in a can, and I love this stuff for getting the different tones in. So underneath the arm here, where this monkey would be, we're just once again pop it in and under. And under this guy's butt, we're going to be putting him in as well. Like that. And generally, just along the bottom end of the underside of these monkeys, we're just going to be putting in a bit of shadow work. Just to get the general gist of how these guys are going to look. Like that, under the chin. And also there will be a slight shadow coming from the arm onto his stomach, there. Maybe a little bit more outside. There we go, perfect. And in there, excellent stuff. Behind the thumb. And on his face a little bit. So it's starting to come up a little bit now. You can see how thick that is with paint. There's a cardboard all over the floor, so I'm just going to wipe that in there just to clean it off a little bit. Excuse me, we've got hair all over the place. Excellent stuff. And then generally, you're just going to take your sweet time and just pop it in. Bit by bit like this. And it sort of very quickly gains new dimensions and it gets lighter and dark as you go, which is really good fun. So, we're really starting to come together now and really pop this in. Like I say, with overspray, we're going to be cutting around this guy anyway, so you don't need to be too precious with the cardboard. You can pop a bit in if you just got to be very, very careful. There we go. Yeah, I'm starting to really like this. Excellent. I'm going to go in with the flesh tones now. I'm going to go in with the Helmand a little bit as well. And just see what we can do on the monkey's toes with this stuff. It's quite similar to the other one, I think. I don't think it's that soft, to be honest with you. So it might not be the colour we want. But more about experimentation here, just to see what we can do, see what we can learn. Yeah, not really what I'm wanting, to be honest with you. It's not as light as I'd like it, but it doesn't. It's not too bad with that. Just little bits in places just to give him some rosy cheeks. A bit of softness above the nose as well, so it's got that sort of muzzle sort of look to it. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. I'm quite happy with that. So let this stencil dry a second, and I'll put the slop in his mouth. Actually, this little monkey dude. I did intend for him to have a banana, but I might put that in later on, to be honest. So I'm going to mix up some white acrylic and some yellow just to make that kind of banana mush sort of slop in his mouth. Bit of white in there. This is just regular acrylic as well, guys. I picked this up from loads of different places. Pound shop acrylic. Get it from Wilkinson's. Also get it from Home Bargain. But Colvin & Co.'s quite nice. Wilkinson's own brand's okay, if a little bit transparent for your tastes. But other than that, the darker tones work really well. The black and the dark browns are brilliant transparency-wise. It all depends on what you want to use it for. So this is the kind of colour we're dealing with. It's like a greeny. 1 second. Rightio. I'm just gonna pop this in here. Lovely stuff. Just let that settle. While this is drying, I am going to... Hey Ryan, how's it going, mate? I'm just going to put this on my Facebook and get it shared out there. 2 minutes. 1 second, Ryan, I'll be right with you, mate. Here we go. I'm very good, Ryan, mate. I'm just doing these monkeys here, as you can see. Just plop that down there. Just popping this in. I will be right back. I need to grab some more paint. I'll be 2 seconds. Oh, sorry about that. Right, I have managed to find some very light tones for skin in the in the mountains of spray paint that I've got. So I'm going to use a few of these just to lighten it up a little bit. You see on this guy where he's got the different curves. I'm going to hit the top end of these curves again, but with a lighter colour. This is an Eindhoven, which is kind of a very light sort of pale skin tone that I use in a lot of the portraiture that I've been doing prior to this project. And I'm just going to use the card again and pop bits in. Whoa. Yeah, that cap got stuck there, which is a bit of a nightmare. I'll switch the caps up. Yeah, we're okay now. So, in the top end of this monkey's belly, just once again, pop a little bit in. And we're just going to go very, very soft along the curve of the cardboard, not actually touching the canvas. Just so we get nice, soft lines and blends where we want them to be. And you can mould the card any way you want, move it to the side, backwards and forwards, just to pick up the sort of shape that you want to follow with the paint. Like that. And like this. So we are getting there slowly. It just wipe this off a second. There's cat everywhere. There we go. Just pop this all the way along the top ends of the cheeks. Just to give it some highlights across the nose as well. So remember, our light source is coming from down over, from above us and down. And we want to be able to make sure that this looks right where the light hits it properly. Top the end of the fingers as well, we'll also have a bit on there. Not being too precious because we're going to put the lines in again anywhere with marker at the end. Just to give it that little hint of a lighting technique there across the top of the heel as well. Hello everyone, if you're just tuning in, my name's Dan Walls, I run Illumination Wall Art. We are a graffiti, spray painting, mural business. We paint kids' rooms and clubs, bars, restaurants, all sorts. Yes, man, this is for the hospital as well. This This is the start of one room where I've done loads of different animals. We tuned in from before. This is all different panels for the for one room of Sunderland Hospital. Move the eyebrow on this fella as well. Look at that, brilliant. So it's really starting to come together, just bit by bit. We're just adding slight little touches. And then, yeah, we're getting what we want to get out of it. Spot on. If anybody else has any questions, by all means put them in the comments. And I'll do my bit to answer them while I'm cracking on. I'm also now, while I'm just waiting for this to dry, I'm going to get my brush and I'm going to just put a few more dark vines in behind these guys, just with dark green acrylic and a brush. I'm going to pop a few thick vines in around these guys, because remember, I am going to cut out around them, but what I don't want to have to do is have very thin floppy bits that take forever to cut around. So I want to try and fill the background up as best I can with vines and loads of bits and bobs and different thicknesses of leaves and branches. Just popping them around the back, here and there. And down here as well. If the brush is starting to run out of acrylic, you can kind of use that to your advantage, because in the background stuff would slightly fade away as well. It wouldn't be as prominent. So it would kind of fade down and go away to nothing. Down the back of him like this, just around the back of him. Out of his armpit like that. The vines don't have to be perfectly straight or the perfect width all the way through, because they do go through some wear and tear. They get leaves growing on them, moss and algae, all sorts of stuff. I'm just going to put this in again because some of the spray paint's gone over the vine. Distorting it, make it look further away. There we go. Lovely stuff. Put a few more hanging bits as well, just down here like that. In behind. Just going in quite rough. We don't want to be doing too much just yet. Maybe have a few more hanging down and around on the monkeys there. Yeah, maybe here. Bring one down kind of through the tail, past that leaf and down here. Once again, not being too precious with the line thickness. You even do a few bits coming off it, so it looks a bit more organic.